Now, as the summer starts to blend into the autumn, we have to do some things. First of all, we have to wear a bit more warm clothing as it gets a bit cooler. And it's not just us, sometimes it's our plants too. Now, bedding plants are what give our patios a great deal of colour. That's things like busy lizzies, petunias, geraniums, fuchsias and the like, which we generally either plant into borders or a lot of us put them into tubs and containers. Now, many of these are Mediterranean plants, which means they grow really well during the summer months on our patios, but are very susceptible to being killed off by the frost. They don't like it too cold because they're not really from this region. Now, there is a way that you can overwinter some of these bedding plants. Things like busy lizzies and petunias, not so much, but slightly tougher varieties like some of the tuberous begonias and geraniums and fuchsias, you stand a pretty good chance of overwintering so they'll grow bigger and better next year. Of course, as well as taking some cuttings to grow some smaller plants. So the secret is to be able to lift them up and put them in a frost-free area. Now, when I say frost-free area, don't go putting them on the kitchen windowsill or above a radiator or anything like that, because they don't want it too warm. They want just enough to be able to tick over during the winter months. So something like an unheated porch, well-lit garage, if you've got a greenhouse, great, conservatory, somewhere like that that's frost-free but not too hot. Now, with bedding geraniums like my one here, they don't really have a dormant period. So the best thing to do is before the frosts take place, dig them out of the ground and put them into a container. Earlier, the better, so they can root into the container. I grow mine in pots, so they're ideal for me to then take them and put them in, as I mentioned earlier, into a conservatory or greenhouse or somewhere that's frost-free. And that way you can treat them almost like a house plant in a colder area. That's the key thing, that it's not banged right up by a radiator. Before bringing them in, here's a great tip. Just check over that you haven't got any pest and disease. You don't want to be bringing anything into the house. Generally, I just trim over the geranium, remove a lot of the old flowering heads, make sure any dead, diseased or damage has all been removed and the plant is trimmed and in quite good condition. Then water regularly. Keep the roots really sort of like moist. They don't need to be overwatered during the winter, but if there is a growing spurt or something similar, there needs to be water available so the plant doesn't just dry out. And also make sure that the plant also gets plenty of ventilation and air circulation. And again, just watch out that they don't get too hot. And that way you can keep your geraniums sort of inside, frost-free. They'll go into almost like a semi-dormant tick over. And then as you come into spring next year, you can take some cuttings from the new growth. And then when it's free of frost, you can move them back out into the patio as well and feed them well during that growing season next spring. And there's no reason why you can't do that again year after year. And that odd bedding plant that you bought at a garden centre or a flower show then, well, becomes a member of the family. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share. And for more great information, visit my website, daviddomoney.com.